A quick note before we begin. This video discusses bullying. We understand that this can be a difficult subject, and we want to provide a safe space. If you or someone you know is being affected by bullying, please know that you are not alone. We've included links to helpful resources in the description below. Please take care while watching. If you or someone you know is experiencing bullying at school or in the workplace, resources and support are available at stopbullying.gov. Good afternoon, fellow movie buffs. Every great director has a breakout film, not necessarily an Oscar winner, but a blockbuster that announced their arrival to the world. For James Cameron, who you know from Titanic and Avatar, it was The Terminator. For Tim Burton, the Nightmare Before Christmas guy, it was Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Ridley Scott gave us Alien before he gave us The Gladiator. And Steven Spielberg broke through with Jaws. As for Robert Zemeckis, who gave us classics like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Death Becomes Her, and The Polar Express, along with his Oscar-winning mega hit Forrest Gump, his breakout role was Back to the Future. Back to the Future centers on Marty McFly, a seemingly ordinary 17-year-old living in Hill Valley, California in 1985. His life takes an extraordinary turn when his eccentric scientist friend, Dr. Emmett Doc Brown, unveils a time machine built from a modified DeLorean. During a demonstration, Libyan terrorists, from whom Doc stole plutonium to power the time machine, attack, seemingly killing Doc. Marty escapes in the DeLorean, inadvertently activating the time travel circuits and sending himself back to November 5th, 1955. Stranded in the past with no plutonium to return, Marty inadvertently disrupts his own parents' first meeting. His teenage mother, Lorraine, becomes infatuated with him instead of his meek future father, George. This threatens Marty's very existence as he and his siblings begin to fade from a photograph he carries. Marty must find the younger Doc Brown of 1955 and convince him of his predicament. Together, they devise a plan to harness a lightning strike at the town's clock tower, on the very date his parents would have kissed for the first time, to generate the massive amount of power needed for the DeLorean to return to 1985. While working with Doc, Marty also has to play matchmaker, subtly pushing his parents together to ensure they fall in love and secure his future. This involves helping his father stand up to the local bully, Biff Tannen, who also has designs on Lorraine. After a series of comedic and tense events, Marty successfully engineers his parents' first kiss at the Enchantment Under the Sea high school dance. He then races to the clock tower, just in time to be sent back to 1985 by a lightning strike. Upon his return, Marty discovers his actions in the past have dramatically improved his family's future. His father is now confident and successful. His mother is happy, and Biff is a subservient car washer. Just as Marty comes to terms with his new reality, Doc Brown suddenly reappears in the DeLorean, now modified for flight, urging Marty and his girlfriend Jennifer to come with him to the future to fix a problem with their kids. Released the summer before my senior year of high school, Back to the Future resonated with me immediately. I was almost the same age as the characters, who were clearly juniors, old enough to drive, but still talking about electing a class president. This relatability, combined with sharp writing, masterful direction, and a fantastic score, undoubtedly contributed to the film's success. It also skillfully tapped into a powerful sense of nostalgia. The movie's well-developed three-dimensional characters set it apart from cheap B-movie sci-fi knockoffs like Time Chasers. Of course, believable special effects and a stellar soundtrack further solidified its classic status. The film marked the first of many blockbusters for director Robert Zemeckis. As I delve into it, I'll share 3 specific points, one of which was particularly challenging for me to write about, and another which brought me to tears. The analysis promises to be more emotional than any I've undertaken so far. To truly appreciate this film, it's essential to first grasp the stark differences of mid-1950s life, now 7 decades in the past. Imagine a world where dressing up for a trip to the supermarket was the norm, and television was still a new wonder. Cigarette smoke hung heavy in the air, and smoking was prevalent everywhere and among all ages, including youth. Drive-in movies were flourishing thanks to the widespread new availability of cars, and it wasn't unusual for young men to resolve conflicts through physical altercations. Keeping this societal backdrop in mind, let's explore the movie. Biff Tannen, the Hill Valley High School bully of the class of '57, is the main antagonist of the film. He is cruel and manipulative. It would be difficult for anyone to stand up to him. He is one villain who deserves the fate he had at the end of the movie, knocked out and irrelevant. But when we see him in 1985, he is waxing the McFly's car. While at first blush it seems like the tables have turned, there is more than what we see. Biff is actually a small business owner. He is his own boss. The courtesy he shows the McFly family shows that his customers are the center of his business. He may not personally like George and Lorraine McFly and their family, but they are still valued customers. I put this film as one where even the antagonist is better off at the end. When Marty travels back in time, he observes his father, George, being bullied by Biff Tannen, while 3 seemingly supportive adults, Goldie Wilson, Hill Valley's future mayor, Lou Carruthers, the malt shop owner, and Principal Strickland, stand by. Crucially, their actions or inactions mirror the tendencies of many adults today. They witness injustice but fail to genuinely intervene and offer meaningful support. Lou Carruthers, the owner of the malt shop, disappointingly did nothing to help George or condemn Biff's bullying. Adults are figures kids should be able to trust, and a place like a malt shop ought to be a safe space, a fact Carruthers' business reputation depends on. Yet in his interactions, he prioritizes simply running his store over protecting his customers. It's unclear what his motivation is, but a real-life restaurant owner would swiftly eject Biff for such behavior, and likely George as well for inciting it. Ultimately, standing by and doing nothing is one of the worst responses if you witness bullying. Goldie Wilson, the future mayor of Hill Valley, another adult who interacted with George, at least had good intentions. He didn't explicitly tell George to fight back, but rather encouraged him to stand up for himself. This advice, typical of the 1950s when boys were often urged to settle disputes with their fists, overlooked Biff's clear physical advantage over George. While George might have attempted to fight back at some point, judging by a later school scene, it likely would have ended up badly for George. Goldie's advice wasn't entirely wrong for the era, but better advice would have been to simply walk away or avoid Biff altogether. Avoiding a battle you're bound to lose is actually sound advice, even if Goldie wouldn't have considered it. A more effective approach for Goldie could have been to befriend George and offer support, perhaps that together they could have asserted themselves to Mr. Carruthers to ensure the malt shop was a safe space for George, rather than directly confronting Biff. It's particularly jarring to see Principal Strickland, the high school principal, shift the blame onto George, effectively turning the victim into the problem. This unfortunate pattern is far too prevalent in real-world bullying scenarios. Such an abdication of responsibility from a school administrator is deeply disappointing. One can't help but wonder about George's parents, Marty's grandparents, in this context. Their complete absence from this movie hints that they may have simply given up trying to support their son against such systemic indifference. I hope they were out of town. There is evidence to support this, as George was having a bowl of oatmeal at the malt shop when we first see him. George ultimately knocked out Biff during the film's climax, but two crucial factors shifted the dynamic. First, George wasn't defending himself, but protecting Lorraine, likely providing George an extra surge of adrenaline. Second, Biff was intoxicated, effectively neutralizing his usual size advantage. What Marty did for his father was truly impactful. By becoming George's mentor and friend, Marty instilled in him the confidence needed to kiss a woman who had become his wife on the dance floor. Once George laid out a drunken Biff and shared that pivotal kiss with Lorraine, he experienced a surge in popularity, and with it, gained crucial allies. Biff never bullied George again because George, now surrounded by support, was no longer an isolated target. This dynamic isn't just confined to high school. It's a powerful lesson that applies universally, even among nation states. The takeaway is clear. If you witness bullying, actively help the victim forge connections. Invite them into your social circle, demonstrate genuine care, and assist them in seeing that they are not alone. I was bullied throughout elementary and junior high school, but high school brought a turning point for me. I was placed in a math class with most of the basketball team. I helped them grasp algebra and meet the eligibility requirements for college sports. In return, they became my allies. After that, my bullies left me alone. The boys I tutored consistently stood up for me. Their support wasn't just about protection, though it also helped me build confidence. I am truly grateful for their help. I might not have had the self-assurance needed to get through my military service and college without their backing. When Marty saved George from being hit by Sam Baines, the ripple effect was immediate and profound. This single act disrupted the pivotal moment of his parents' first meeting, fundamentally changing their history and consequently Marty's own conception. The only way to rectify this altered future was for Marty to return to the DeLorean and prevent his past self from interfering, a plan Doc Brown would undoubtedly refuse to assist. The circumstances surrounding George and Lorraine's burgeoning romance fundamentally changed, improving their relationship. It wouldn't surprise me if, even with George's dance floor kiss, Marty still began to disappear. I believe he did. The Marty who electrifyingly played Johnny Be Good was a completely different person than the one who struggled with the simpler power of love at the beginning of the movie. Such a complex song is far beyond the typical high schooler's skill. This new Marty, laden with fresh experiences and memories, was destined to forget his previous life. Perhaps this transformation into the new Marty should have been instantaneous with George and Lorraine's kiss. With their relationship strengthened, George and Lorraine enjoyed a much happier marriage. It's plausible that after the kiss, Marty's photo would have revealed the presence of younger siblings. Given their improved union, Marty's childhood was undoubtedly different, shaping him with new memories. Consequently, almost everything we witness in the movie's opening, apart from the scene in Doc's lab with the clocks, effectively never happened. Because George became a successful author, Marty never endured Mr. Strickland's condescending lecture about McFly potential. It's likely Professor Huey even approved of the Pinhead's performance. In this new reality, the family car remained undamaged. Dave never toiled at Burger King. and Linda was free from joblessness and boy trouble. Lorraine never struggled with alcohol, and George was certainly not Biff's long-suffering underling. If I were to rewrite the ending of Back to the Future, I'd refine a couple of lines for greater impact. For instance, after George punches Biff and Marty is getting ready to go home, instead of saying to Doc, "Dad laid out Biff, he never stood up to Biff in his life," I would opt for, "Dad laid out Biff, it was so cool to see it." Additionally, Doc prepares to drop Marty off near the end. I would envision Marty turning to him and saying, "Wait a minute, Doc, I was the Calvin they always talk about." To which Doc would simply reply, "You should keep that to yourself, Marty." With that, I conclude my thoughts on Back to the Future. While Biff's bullying was a fictional element of the film, real-life bullying is a serious issue. If you or someone you know is experiencing bullying at school or in the workplace, resources and support are available at stopbullying.gov. Our next episode will delve into another time travel movie featuring a bootstrap paradox, Escape from the Planet of the Apes. The bootstrap paradox will be our main focus for that discussion, and stay tuned for future episodes covering Conquest of the Planet of the Apes and Close Encounters of the Third Kind.